Folks, welcome back to Fowl Players Radio, Season 9, Episode 250. Today, we welcome back to the show Rodney Kelley. We first met a few years ago when we were recording the show remotely on Wednesday nights at Costas Inn for jazz and seafood night. Rodney never disappoints in his performances. As a matter of fact, he's always top-notch. The crowd always has a great time. We talked about a lot of things, such as surviving the COVID pandemic. We hope we're almost done with it. Getting through this as a musician, guitars, and more guitars, of course, having priorities in life outside of music and entertaining. And at the end of the day, really what the most important thing, what the best part of being a performing artist really is. It was great to have him back on the show. It was an honor to have him kick off our 9th season and 250th episode. You can follow Rodney Kelley, that's Kelley, on Facebook and YouTube, at rodneykelleymusic.com as well. The Fowl Players of Perryville are back and booking shows for 2022. For more information, please see our website at www.fowlplayersofperryville.com, or you can email us at fowlplayersperryville@yahoo.com or call us at 443-600-0446. You can also subscribe for free at www.fowlplayersradio.com or listen to this podcast wherever you find podcasts online. No matter what platform you listen to, you can help us greatly by giving us a fair review and a 5-star rating. Also, be sure to visit our page on patreon.com, www.patreon.com/fowlplayersradio. And we'll be right back in just a minute with Rodney Kelley. Stay tuned. Folks, welcome back to Fowl Players Radio. We're rolling out our new season here, our 250th episode. And I'm honored to have returned to the show Mr. Rodney Kelley. If you look back in our archives, Rodney and I recorded quite a few episodes together in 2019 over at the Costas restaurant where Rodney performed. And do you still perform there?
Yeah, they have shut down their live performances due to COVID, and they haven't opened up. I go past there a bit, because they still have great crabs and all the crabs from there. But they say they would like to restart live once things calm down. Their parents, who actually are the owners of all this, so they're very afraid because they're very much up in age.
Oh yeah, that's definitely risky.
That's why they have kept the live away, because it says when they have live, you can't separate people. It's going to be packed. And you run that risk. Yeah.
And the thing is, too, I mean, if you're up there doing any kind of singing or anything like that, makes it even more dangerous,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a member of the chorus of the Chesapeake, and even in my church choir, they've kind of put those performances and live rehearsals on the back burner right now because you're exhaling in front of everybody, around everybody.
You spit every time you talk. That's why when I have like open mics, I always tell people, bring your own microphone.
Yep.
Yes.
A lot of comedy clubs were doing that. They were actually bringing their own, having people, or they were swapping out the wind guards on every one. And also, we just did Polar Express up in Cumberland.
Okay.
Maryland Scenic Railroad. And what we were wearing during the performances were masks that were plexiglass. They kind of look like what Hannibal Lecter wore.
Yes.
And I tell you, in between shows, we'd have to wipe them down because lunch would be on it.
It's difficult all around.
Yep. But I tell you, Rodney, it's great to have you back. I mean, having, met you back in those days, I mean, I was very impressed by your performances, and I was glad you were just willing to come on and share your experiences and wisdom with us and everything. And
thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm proud to have you kick off our 9th season here on Fowl Players Radio. Our very first episode 250. I've done 250. Well, thank you. I've done 250 of these things and not gotten beaten up or booed out of there or anything. So I think I'm doing something right, and so, you had just been talking a little bit about Costas, where we met, and, performances. How have you been surviving the last couple of years? How have you made out with performing?
Well, it's funny that you asked, because with COVID, a lot of places shut down and they couldn't have full capacity.
Yeah.
At first, so you can only have 10%, 15, 20% people.
Yeah.
That translated into they couldn't afford to hire big bands,
Right.
5 and 6 pieces, because they couldn't make the money because they couldn't have the amount of people to cover that. But if you were if you were artists that could perform by yourself, COVID actually increased it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I could go in, sing, play my guitar, have my backing tracks, which you'd still get the full thing. And, and my forte is entertainment anyway. So I got a lot of calls to come in and do this. And with COVID, people being sequestered inside, people are chomping at the bit to have some entertainment. It's one thing going online, but it's another having it live.
Right.
I would get a lot of calls, corporate calls, where we'd have maybe 20 people in the room and they would be spaced out around the room and I could entertain them. And so it really worked out for me very well.
Oh, good. Well, good for you. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, and the thing is that, I mean, one thing that a lot of people, when you're a performer, and I'm not sure if you would agree with this or not, a lot of times if you don't have a big crowd, it's a little disheartening because people tend to feed off of the energy that the crowd gives them.
Yes.
But one thing that I tell my performers, especially if we're doing Murder Mystery or when we were doing Polar Express, whether you've got a capacity room or you've got 10% of the room, you got to bring the same energy. You got to bring
the same show
as if it's sold out.
I remember watching the movie, The Temptations. And I remember one part Otis says, man, we only had, Blue says, we only had half a crowd. Otis turned to say, yeah, but the half a crowd deserves a good performance. So you give a good performance, whether it's 10, 20 packed house or whether it's 2 people. And with this, playing smaller rooms, I kind of like it. You don't have to blast. You can get more intimate. I can pick out somebody in the room and just fixate on them. What's your name? Hey, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's a couple, you have that dialogue between and they remember that. Yes. Yeah.
It is. It's good to have that kind of a rapport with the crowd and your fans that come see you. I've had a lot of veteran musicians on, yourself. I've had, unfortunately, we just lost Tommy Van a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know if you had heard about that. I'd had him as a guest, Gene Vincent, who's been around for a while. And the thing is that when you're doing the types of things that the type of entertaining that you're doing, people follow you. And it's just that when you have these longtime followers, you become their anniversary plans. You become their birthday night. Hey, guess what? I got a surprise. I'm taking you to see Rodney tonight. And, you become inadvertently, a part of their lives. And it's very touching. It's very touching.
Yes, it is. It is. Especially as you're getting older like we are, you want to see folks.
Yes.
You really do want to. And if you've made an impact, and you know how powerful music is, if you've made an impact on someone and you can see it's a positive one, that works both ways. They remember you, you remember them, and it's wonderful. Yes.
It sure is. It sure is. And the fact that, I think at the end of the day, you can have, all the money in the world, you can have all the fame, your face could be everywhere. But I think the thing that really means the most is that you left an impression on somebody that was worthy of them making you a part of their life.
Yes.
I think when it all comes down to it, that's the most important thing, enduring instead of just really, becoming, a big shot. I mean, it would be nice to be a big shot. I wish I was, but, it's,
well, you know what? When I was younger, I thought about that a lot. Of course, as you're younger, you want to be the star, you want to do this, you want to do the other. But looking at this world, a lot of them that are big shot, have the money, they're not happy.
Yeah.
You make a lot of money, then they're worried about somebody taking it, or somebody is taking it. Or, or they can't keep marriages together. You got money, but this sort of thing. This July, it'll be 40 wonderful years, me and my wife together. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I can play my guitar. I'm happy. She supports me. I play my music. I'm retired. I got a chance to retire early and that sort of thing. So I don't envy those who have a lot. It's almost like you're trying to protect. You done made this. like a billionaire or a multimillionaire. You can't spend that much money. How many times can I buy a yacht, go on a cruise, do this, that, and the other? That doesn't bring happiness. I think one famous writer says, give me not poverty or riches. I'd rather be happy. And so being happy, I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee. I wonder where my grandbabies is. I'll call my daughter, my son, and bring my babies over. I'll visit with them. We'll throw a log in the fireplace. We'll look at that, have something to eat. I play my guitar all day if I feel like it, That's happiness. Yeah.
That's really, because I mean, you can see the price that fame takes on a lot of people.
Yes.
Not only do you have to deal with the people that surround them, if you have somebody who's crooked or does something like that, the constant, especially if you're out there, it's like album tour, studio can be grueling, the road can be grueling. And then the most I've ever done is myself has been like little mini tours here and there. And I can just imagine these people that go out for 44 weeks at a time or a year and a half at a time. And it's just constant hustle, sleep on a bus,
When you're young, that sounds like it's exciting, but I've talked to many who've done it and it's not exciting.
Oh, it's work.
I couldn't see leaving my wife and family 8-10 weeks, being on a bus, being away. And that's been a death knell to many families, a death knell to many marriages. So you end up with the money, but you lose everything. Is it worth it? Right. I can't see it.
You're right. Which makes the folks that plan their anniversaries and their birthdays around your performances that much more important,
Oh, yes. And when I get a text, hey, man, this Friday, I'm playing at Smashing Grapes, which is in Annapolis, beautiful upscale restaurant. A guy texts me, said, me and my wife are having our anniversary and we want to come hear you play. Now that really means something to me. Your anniversary, first thing they go, hey, I'm going to take my wife. We're going to hotel. We're going to go on a trip. They're going to come hear me play. They like the music that I do. So now my mind, I'm keying in on trying to make their anniversary when they come to see me something special. Call them out on the mic, sing a special song to them or play a special song to them. That's the life I like.
Yep, exactly. That's really what it's all about right there. It definitely is. So, have you gotten yourself, I know that, with COVID, I mean, I guess you didn't have the downtime that a lot of other people had. Were you able to get yourself, add some new rooms to your, list of venues that you do?
Yeah. During COVID, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Shook, who does booking of bands, a lot of different artists in this area. He had got me Smashing Grapes, and he says, Mr. Kelley, I'd like for you to do Annapolis on a Friday, and then there's one in Gambles on a Saturday. Okay, fine. I figured you wouldn't give me that this week. He said, no, every week. Okay. And so I started that out, but I found that for me at this age, every week was a bit much.
Sure.
Friday and Saturday, because on Sundays, I'm in Alexandria at Blackwall Hitch. The Blackwall Hitch are now right on the water, beautiful spot. But even that, so Thursday nights, I'm at a place called City Line on Bel Air Road, the bar there. So what it ended up was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, my mind thinks that I'm 25. My body don't agree. After doing that a while, I was like, okay, I need to scale back this. And believe me, it's not those gigs, because these are restaurants and beautiful spots. It's not those gigs where I'm playing for the crowd. You got to make them dance. You jumping around and do. No, I can. And you know how I like to dress. I could dress up, put on my suits, and do my crooning. However, 4 nights a week, every week, at this age, So I went to a Blackwall Hitch. I says, listen, I really appreciate what you've done. Can I do it every other Saturday? And some musicians say, man, you're throwing away the money. It's not about the money for me. No, believe me, I like getting paid, but it's about the enjoyment. So they allowed me to do every other week. I did the same on the Saturdays. I told Kevin, I said, Kevin, I know there's a lot of artists out there that are really starving for gigs. I'm fortunate that I'm not one of them. Find one who's really, really need a gig and give them Saturdays. Saturdays. So I gave up Saturdays. I kept the Fridays. And it's nice because the funny thing is that at Smashing Grapes, both of them are built, because they used to be the old Green Turtle, built and set up identically. Yep. Colors, chairs, everything. So when you leave Friday and you go Saturday, it looked like you never left. You know,
yeah, right.
So they split up, and so he gave someone else. So now it's pretty cool. I'm at the City Lounge on the Thursday, which is like a little neighborhood pub bar. Uh-huh. Different atmosphere when I go Fridays to the Smashing Grapes. And then every other Sunday when I go down to Black Witch on the water, it's beautiful, different atmosphere. But I tell you, man, like, the phone still rings. Can you come do this on a Saturday? And as a musician, as crazy as we are, oh yeah. And then I said, wait a minute, fool, didn't you stop this so you could give yourself a break? But it's just something as a musician that's in us. We want to play. So I'm trying to pace myself, you know, so that I don't burn myself out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that. I know exactly what you mean by that. I mean, I look back at the years when I would be playing in these clubs and I would be going on at 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock. Right. And wondering how the heck I did it, because when I play now, I don't play that much anymore, but when I do, I want to be home by that time.
Man, I want to be in my bed. You know, it's like even the 12, because Smashing Grapes is dinner thing, so it's 9 to 12. But at 12 o'clock, I want to be asleep. I want to be in my bed. You know, do you remember in the old days, man, you would play 9 to 1 or 9 to 2 in the morning. And you get out of there, you get out, because after you pack up and everything, it'd be almost 3 o'clock. Right. You get home around 4. And we did that for days. We must have been out of our minds, but we did that. That's what happened back in those days.
Right.
Not no more. No. No.
Right.
Don't need a dead band.
Yeah, a lot of bands that I've had on, because I've had some folks that were playing in the 70s. You know, I've had Doug McCooch, I had DC Star, Face Dancer. They were telling me, especially because they were doing a lot of performing in the DC area, like at the Bayou and a number of other places down there. They were doing 6 sets a night, 6 nights a week down at those places. That's a young man's game right there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I don't want to treat my body like that. Look, me and my wife Jason, look, I'm 63. I still look good. I want to keep it that way, right?
Oh, you look damn good.
But you know, the thing is, you see some of our brothers who play and have played, and they maintained it. And a lot of them got in the clubs and they're drinking that alcohol, and they may be 50 and they look 70. Or they're smoking those cigarettes, and you're being in that environment. It takes a toll on you.
Oh, it does. It does.
It does take a toll. And I put the guitar down for about 15 years during my, let's say, 30s, 40s, maybe more than that, while we were raising our family. Because it was important to me to have a mother and father in the house, not me running up and down. So when I came back to start playing, I didn't have the burnout, because I didn't, keep it constantly. But I look at a lot of who did just constantly all through high school and even now, some of them look really bad because you drank, you may have gotten to the substance, even if you let that stuff go, sooner or later, you can't do your body wrong and it not come back on you. Sooner or later it does. And so I was fortunate that I didn't get into those things, So I'm playing some of the best guitar now than I've ever played, and I feel good. My body's in good shape. And that sort of thing. Yeah.
I understand exactly what you mean by that, because unfortunately in the last couple of years, I'm 52 and I've lost a number of people that were in my age group that I played with back in the 80s that, I don't know if they necessarily got into the substances or anything like that. But there were some people out there that I know lived hard. And they died at 48, 49, 50 years old.
That's a kid's age. That's young.
Yeah. And it's a shame to see that happen. It really is a shame to see that happen. I mean, like you, I took about 10 years off just to get my act together. I was performing a lot. I was doing original material, and that meant a lot of traveling. It wasn't as long of a night, but it was a lot more traveling, going out, to remote places and where they would have originals instead of, like a like a dance night or something. And it got to the point where I wasn't making any money, and I went back and finished my degree, got myself established in a career. And then, the first marriage I had fell apart. And then, the music was calling me to come back, and I did start playing again. And, but it was a good decade. It was a good decade too, but I came back, and, I'd have to say I was better when I came back too. I was definitely better. I had some chance to mature.
Yes.
Go back to the drawing board, get rid of some bad habits,
Get your head on straight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, everybody needs to do that. I think it's beneficial, at least, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I definitely saw some benefits when it came to me, Yeah.
You got to count the cost. And, they always say experience is the best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
True, but it doesn't have to be your experience. I don't have to experience death to know I don't want to go there. I don't have to experience a broken family or marriage to know that I don't want that. So we have a lot of examples of, some of the cats are great musicians, but if you take away the instrument, there's nothing there left.
Yep.
That's not good. I don't worship the music. I got 22 guitars. I don't worship those things. They are tools for me to use.
Yep.
I enjoy them. But when the bottom line ends up, it's about happiness. For me, it's about serving my God. It's about keeping me and my wife and family healthy and happy with one another. That's what everyone, I think when we were younger, we wanted to be superstars. We wanted to make the money, and we saw the high lifestyle. But when you think about it and say, okay, that's great. What would we think? What did you think you would do if you got that? Well, I'd be happy. I'd make the people around me happy. Okay. The ultimate thing of what we were looking for is to be happy and to make others around us happy. Those who went into it blindly or headstrong and not looking, they may have gotten the money, but all those other things rarely happen. Even your superstars out there, when you and I came along, it wasn't media frenzy like it is now.
No.
So you didn't know what was going on. But now with the internet, with media and all these outlets, now you see some of these things like, who would have thought Hugh Hefner and those guys, all that crap that was going on there? It just seemed like, hey, this was a happy guy with a bunch of naked ladies all the time. And now, what's coming out? Who would have thought that America's sweetheart daddy, Bill Cosby, would be caught up with a whole bunch of things? Had all the millions that he wanted. Look at that. All the money that he wanted to have. Look at it. This is some stuff. But since we're musicians, we tend to say, oh, just the music, just the entertainment. I'm going to tell all young musicians, this is a dirty, nasty business that we're in. And if you don't have your head on straight, it will eat you up, spit you out for life.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Now, what time frame did you take your hiatus?
Let's see. I took my hiatus from about maybe the late 80s to the early 2000s.
Okay, so I was out of it from roughly 94 till 05.
Yeah, so we were out at about because I think I came back in about 05 or something like that, or 02, something like that.
Okay, now let me ask you this here. Back in the 80s, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have, MySpace. We didn't have Instagram. If we wanted to get people to a show, and I know it was like this in the clubs that I played, if you had a show coming up, that club owner had better see you in that club giving out flyers and meeting people and giving out tapes to draw people. And then when I came back in 05 around then, I had some shows lined up. So what did I do? Rip Van Winkle over here. I went and I made flyers and some tapes. And I went out to the place where I was playing and I'm giving them out. In the 80s, people would look at it and say, hey, great. Yeah, we'll check you out. Yeah. And you'd have a beer with them and get a chance to talk.
Right.
It was like I'd go into these places in 2005. not hand them a flyer. They're like, what's this?
Yeah.
Did you experience kind of the same thing?
Same thing. Well, what happened was back when we came along and started, they didn't have as many options.
Okay, right.
And see, and that is one of the ways that bands and musicians got screwed, because a club owner would tell you, oh, you need exposure. So come on in here, I'll let you play for free and you need exposure. And you're thinking back then, oh, I'm in front of a lot of people where he's making money off the beer and the liquor coming in, or if he had a door charge. When the internet came, now you have so many different options that you didn't have to go here. You didn't have to go. You could go wherever you wanted. It's just like the thing that happened with musicians. Back in my days, 70s, going into the 80s, if you didn't have a record contract,
right,
you didn't get wide exposure, because the record companies also owned most of the radio stations. So they controlled what was played. They controlled that media outlet, what was played. So you had to, if you wanted to do, you had to do something locally and be so good and big at it that someone noticed you and gave you a platform. Well, here comes the internet. And that's one good thing of the internet, is that I don't need you to promote nothing for me. I can, you know, one lady said to me, because she was from the old school, Miss Kelley, you need some exposure. I said, listen, woman, I can get more exposure via a click of my mouse or my computer than you can with your mouth, all your people that you think you know, because they overturn. With the internet, I have people all around the world, Beijing, Singapore, Yugoslavia, who've heard me play guitar, who I have never met, who text me right through Facebook, right through Instagram, right? So it brought out entertainers that were fantastic people that would have never been heard.
Right.
Never had a voice, but now you can get on the internet and you do it. The smart ones stay on the internet, and a lot of them made a lot of money through the internet. But back then, the club owners, oh, you need this, and you had to play, giving out a flyer. These days, and I could tell an older person, I'm like, say I'm in Smashing Grapes. Customer come up, oh, I love your playing. Can I get your card? I die laughing, and I say, nobody uses cards anymore. A card can be lost. Let me do this. I'm going to call your cell phone, put my name in it, because I know you're never going to lose that cell phone. You always got me there. You might put the card in your wallet or something, and you're going to lose it. Put it in the cell phone. So now we have that instantaneous connection. You can call me, you can text me at any time with a card. No, so it's done differently. You know, I've gone into places and like through referrals, and the club will say, I've heard of you. They've never heard me play. I went on YouTube and I saw you playing. That's why I called you up. Now, do you remember the old days of auditioning?
Yeah.
Hey, I got to audition. I made a darn audition. I'm going to come and give you a night free to audition. That means a night that your club done made money, you ain't paying me. No. So these days, oh, you want to see what I hear? Yeah, I hit my mouth. Click. And here's a video of my band live. This is not, and I send these videos out. This is not a video I went into the studio, doctored it up, and made it sound perfect and tell you this is what we sound like. Because, you know, you got a lot of groups that sound good on the video. You hear them sound like crap. Here's a live video of me playing. Then you make your decision. And so, I remember those days, putting out cards. I have some in my, we called them placards back then. The big posters, remember? And it had a whole bunch of bands and your picture was on there. You know, I got some on my wall because it reminds me of those times. But those times are gone. Things are done differently, you know, they're done differently. And you gotta, if you want to be in this business, even locally, you gotta roll with the way it is going. You get nothing.
Exactly. It was just such a shock to see the difference in people, you know, when I would go give these flyers out and everything. And, you know, I mean, you would have thought I was trying to spread poison ivy to them or something like that. You know, I mean, they would like avoid you. And, but, you know, but it is good that there are a lot of other ways, and you can give somebody a performance they can see exactly what you do, exactly what you're about with the click of a mouse, which is definitely a good thing. And but I know exactly, just a couple of the things that you had mentioned too, the packed houses and the owners crying poverty at the end of the night. You could never turn that around either and say, I would like you to cater my party, but I want you to do it. I want you to bring, all this shrimp and good food and everything.
Yeah.
But it's for exposure. It's not for money. It's for exposure.
Yeah. You need people to taste your food, and then they'll call you. Okay, right. Taste them shrimp, the big lobsters and all of that. Then
you'll end up wearing that shrimp pretty soon is what's going to happen. If you say something like that to them.
Yes, but it's amazing. And the sad part about it is bands are making, most of them, the same money they made back in the 80s, some in the 70s.
You're right about that. But the thing was, back in those days, it was enough to make a salary and live off of.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, you don't have that now. I tell young musicians, don't be foolish. My mom used to say, it's a poor rat that has one hole. Why would you have one thing, one source that you can go to? And many of my brethren who came along in the music, and have seen it where they are and were great musicians. I mean, some were super musicians, but has it worked out? You didn't make it big and didn't make the money. Now you're in your 50s and your 60s and you're whining about what the club owners pay. The club owners ain't never made anybody rich, but I'm not making any money. I look and say, that's your fault. We are at this point in life because of decisions we made in our youth. In my youth, I made a decision to have something other than music along with music. Although music is my passion, I retired early in my 50s as a network engineer. I'm too young to even draw the retirement of it. However, I had something to fall back on. So when I says, I want to stop playing music for a while, I could do that. I have musicians, friends that I know, this is all they got. And it's sad. It's scary because now here comes the cutthroat, because you're trying to get every gig you can get because that keeps your lights on. How stupid are you with that? You have to look whole. This is not the way it was, like you said, in the 70s. In the 70s, there were so many bars and clubs. Everybody had a gig and you could have a concert one. In the 2000s, it ain't like that. Places closing left and right. And if you've got nothing else, you in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
What are you thinking?
Right.
Get a skills. And if you have fallen victim to that, at least teach your kids and others, don't take this path. Take that path. You can still be a badass musician. I still consider myself a bad musician. I can play with any of them. Fine. My Frigidaire is full.
Right.
My closet has a bunch of clothes in it, and I am not rich. My wife worked for Social Security since she was 17. I've done everything from carpentry to sell insurance and all of this. And then when in the 80s, when I got into the tech business, because, musicians, we're mathematical. We're about problem solving, putting things together, like you put chords together to make songs, you put runs together, that sort of thing. So going into the tech industry was a natural for me. This fit with that. And so I took to it. But that gave me, as a younger man, something to fall back on. So now, at this age, I can play my guitar the way I want. If a club wants this and they don't want to treat me the way I want to be treated, screw you. I don't need that. I can do it under. But I have put together a product that's good and folks like it.
Right.
So I got a double blessing here. I'm playing the music I want to play. I'm getting hired to do what I do. It's a win-win. I love it. Get my little pay here. But if y'all start acting a fool, I'll still go home, put my foot up and light my fireplace, and I'm okay.
Sure. So now you said you had 22 guitars.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How can we explain this? We can't. Okay.
You don't have to explain it to me. I get it.
I love them all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I first came back and coming from modest, meager, shall I say, upbringing, and I got my aunt in New York bought me my first guitar, good guitar, back in the 70s, a Les Paul Custom.
Oh,
but
nice.
then, you know, after that is when I put it down. But when I came back, I saw all of this, and okay, I came back as a rock guitar player because that's when I first started, rock and funk. So I went and got a Strat. Then I started getting into jazz, and I didn't know too much about it. Oh, that guitar's pretty. And now remember, I'm still working in the tech industry, so I could afford it. I went and bought it. Ooh, that one looks good. I went and bought it. Oh, Rod, you should have this hollow body. Okay, I went and bought it. And then I start falling in love with them. And I bought another. And then I got into this phase which I'm in now, my guitars have to match my outfits.
I noticed that.
I'm buying outfits, and the guitars have to match that. So now you know something? I got this green suit or green outfit, but I don't have a green guitar. You know what's coming next? You know? Then it got down to, I started narrowing down to really good instruments like my ES 175, 59 reissue 175. My wife actually bought that as a 30-year anniversary present. A friend of mine, Ron Thompson, he had a D'Angelico. I mean, the name even sounds good. I gotta have one of those, you know, like that. And he sold me his George Benson. Now I love George Benson. So he sold me his George Benson GB 200. Ooh, I love that. However, I had the Epiphone Emperor Regent, and it's just name. I have a guitar called the Lore. Now, that name, Lore, comes from Lloyd Lore. He is the original designer of the Gibson L5.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and so, you know, Gibson and L broke up. He left the company way back when, but this company made a guitar in his honor, and it mimics. See that? Can you see that? Yeah, okay. Mimics that. Now, a guitar, especially a hollow body, when you say laminate, like the 175 is a laminated guitar. Most of all the Gibson's ESs are laminated, means that they're plywood and they have a thin layer of maybe spruce or maple on the top. When you get to a solid one type of wood, the price goes through the roof.
Yep.
Like you'll see 8,000 to 10,000 for an L5, okay? This Lloyd Lore is a solid spruce guitar.
Okay.
I bought her brand new for $400. Because it doesn't say Gibson, you get it at that price. It outrivals a lot of the guitars that I have that cost 10 times as much, but it doesn't say Gibson. Having that, I still want an L5.
Oh, yeah.
Because West play, it ain't gonna make it sound no better. It's not gonna sound much different than my Emperor Regent or my other guitars that I had altered to fit my tone and sound. But we like them because it had the name. So yeah, I'm sitting here looking. I have guitars and there's some on the wall. They look really pretty. I said, you know, I gotta go play them. I'm gonna spend money on them, but they just look pretty there. And I try from time to time to play some of them on shows, you know.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, the L5. I know which one you're talking about now.
Wes Montgomery played that.
Yeah. Okay.
Lee Ritenour. All your greats played that. The L5. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful guitars. Beautiful.
They're beautiful, but they ain't gonna make you sound no better than anything else.
Right. Now there's I'm looking at this. It looks like there's a solid body one too.
Those are the thin.
The L5S. Okay, that's the L5S. Okay.
And it sounds nothing like that hollow body.
Right. I've seen people play the L5S before. Okay, and I've seen the L5s as well. So yeah. I'm a Gibson guy too.
I just want one laying on my chest as a Gibson L5 or the Super 400. That's what Kenny Burrell plays, the Super 400. That's actually an 18-inch body. That sucker's huge. The L5 is a 17-inch body. But, you know, it's in our head. And it's not to say that good quality doesn't make a difference, but it doesn't make $8,000 worth of difference, $10,000 worth of difference. You know, That's more of our ego. I have an L5, you know, it's a 1959 L5. Shut up, you know. But what does George Benson play? He plays Ibanez. Who has a sweeter tone than him? Nobody that I know. Ibanez is not an expensive guitar.
No.
For $2,500 for in the GB10s and all that. Their prices went up because George played them. That's about it. You know, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. I know what you mean. I have one of my basses I had, you know, a fellow that mentored me when I was a young player had the Gibson RD Artist bass.
Yes.
And I loved it. And I saw one. I got it. I used my high school graduation money and bought one, I found. And I've had it since then. Right. But when I had it, you know, when I was playing it, you know, it was a wood grain finish, just maple wood grain, you know, that tone finish. And that was back in the days when people were playing sparkly, pointy guitars.
Yeah.
He was looking at me playing this thing. They're like, what the hell is that?
You look strange, dude.
And I said, it's a 70, I think it was a 78. I was like, it's not that old. And they said, well, where are you playing that for? You know, and because that was back with the you know, the big, you know, the Flying V's and all the the BC Rich Mockingbirds and all those other ones. And then after, you know, the hairband phase went away, the bass player for Nirvana had one, and a couple of other people had them. And I tell you what, those things, even now on eBay, they're $4,000. I bought mine for $260 used.
Yeah.
Bills,
you know what it's
86.
You know what it's worth? $260.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because of the hype of it, they do that with anything. Jack the price up because of hype. It's almost like you'll see a Les Paul and they'll say Alex Lyson Les Paul or Joe Montebassa. But these cats, most of these cats didn't have money. They bought what they could.
Yeah.
But because now they played it, now the company comes behind, puts their name on it and say, oh, this is a special guitar. No, it was that same crap that he bought back then. That's all he could afford. I've seen megastars play with Fender Squiers.
Yeah.
And people, oh, the Squier ain't nothing, blah, 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 blah. Back in the day, and we're talking the 70s, a Stratocaster would run you around $5. It's all alderwood. Now they're asking thousands for the same thing. Dude, I told one guy, I said, you know, they asked for a 10 to 15,000 for L5. Do you know that an entire spruce tree, I ain't talking about a cut out of it, the entire tree doesn't cost $1,000.
No.
It's all but the craftsmanship. A lot of these guitars are done with machines and they finish it off by hand. But even then, the ones that were back in the day, that our greats played and they were handmade, they didn't cost that kind of money. It's media hype and wanting to play something someone else has that people will fork over that kind of money. I know guys that got $10,000 guitars and still sound like crap.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean that 10 grand didn't make you sound any better? It's not that. I got a video, and you probably seen it too. George Benson walked into a club, and Mark Whitfield was playing. And I think George had mentored Mark Whitfield. Mark's a great guitar player himself. And they say, George is very humble. He'll come in and sit in the back. You know, he doesn't mean, oh, I'm here. But Mark saw George and said, hey, George, come on up and play. Mark was playing a Stratocaster. Handed George the Strat. George played it. Do you know he sounded like George Benson?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, who is that playing a sound? So, dude, you know, we just tell it to ourselves. We convince ourselves that we must have this because so-and-so played it and we're going to sound like them. Not really. No, no. If it ain't here in the hands and you ain't sounding like them, no, not really. No.
Not at all. Not at all.
But it's interesting because we get caught up in it. I love my beautiful guitar. I still want an L5. I could get an L5. I'm trying to talk myself into an L5. And then every time I do it, I talk myself out of the L5.
Okay. I look at I look back and I watch a lot of old rock videos and I'm like, yeah, I see all these basses and guitars I'd love to have. And I'm just like, man, by the time I'm going to be able to afford all of them, I'll be dead.
136. I'll be 136 and the fingers won't even work anymore.
Exactly.
Now, see, even in that lends us to say, well, why should I wait? I should go and get it while I can still play it.
Mm-hmm.
And we convince ourselves, well, I'm in my 60s. I might not have too much longer left. So I've worked all my life. Why don't I go get it?
Mm-hmm.
We talk ourselves into that type of logic too. I'm one of them. I talk myself into that type of logic. Because 20 guitars, you're going to have your one that feels the best. And that's going to be the one that you play the most. Okay, the other 18 sitting over there crying, play us. I'll go and say, okay, I'm going to play this one this show. I'm going to play that one that show. And what do? You end up going back to that one you really, really like.
Mm-hmm.
You say, oh man, I done bought all these guitars. So I try to not look over there to say, no, I didn't buy you. You bought all them guitars, dude. They're up against the wall. But that's life.
Yeah, with me, I used to go through phases a lot of times. I'd be into my RD artist phase, my G3 phase. I had a Fender, and I would go through phases where I would just play those, one for a couple of months, and then switch it up from time to time. But I'd always have an extra one with me because Murphy's Law is the story of my life, and something would always happen, and I'd need to grab the other one for some reason, That
happens to me. You're on stage, you're playing, and a string breaks. Now, the audience doesn't want to sit there and watch you restring, stretch it, and try to tune it.
Mm-hmm.
My string break, I put the guitar down, plug in the other one, let's go. And we have fun, especially because I'm playing a lot of solo or duo gigs. So I don't want that break. And it's not like I can say, okay, band, y'all just go ahead and play while I go and string this guitar up. It's just me or just me and my vocal. So I pick up another one and I go and play.
Yeah. So I know you had, it was like a 5 or 6 piece band when I used to see you over at Costas. And I know, are you still working with your son?
Yes, my son still plays constantly and with a lot of groups he plays. He's one of those prodigies. I want those genes back. He can do stuff I would dream of doing. That we would have to sit down in our day and play the record 500 times and try to learn it off the record. He'll sit there and listen to it and then call out the chords that was just played with no formal training. So that's a gift that he has.
That's definitely a gift. That's definitely a gift.
I told you I want those genes back.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. I don't blame you for that. He was, and he was a good guy. He's a good guy too. He came over and sat with me and interviewed a few times too when we were at Costas, and just a good guy. Give him my best when you see him, please.
I certainly will. Yes, we try to raise them right with respect from the generation we came from. And that sort of thing.
Yep.
So he's doing well.
Right. Well, great. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us tonight.
Oh, man, this has been a blast. And,
please come back anytime. Please come back and check in with us. And you don't have to wait to be invited either. If something big's coming up, feel free to reach out.
Beautiful.
Before we wrap up here, I'd like to give you a chance to. This is what I call the shameless plug portion of the evening. You can shamelessly plug anything you'd like to shamelessly plug with no shamelessness spared.
No shame at all.
Shamelessness encouraged. And there's no shame.
I'm not ashamed. Now, listen, every Friday I play at Smashing Grapes, which is a beautiful upscale restaurant in Annapolis. It's on Jennifer Road in Annapolis, right in a big shopping center. The time is from 9 to 12. And it's no cover. Come on out and see me. I have a vocalist sometimes. Sometimes I bring another instrumentalist, but it's every week other than the third Friday. But come on out and see me that's on Fridays. On Thursdays, every other Thursday in Baltimore, I play at a place and it's a solo duo gig at City Line Bar and Grill. And I've turned that into an open mic. And so I invite others to come on up and they, do their little singing and playing, but I bring the first set. Or every other Sunday, I play at Blackwall Hitch in Alexandria. That's 5 Cameron Street. And their brunch is from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The food is right on the water, right near the MGM, right on the water. The food is to die for. I mean, anything from shrimps to clam, to roast beef, to any custom omelet, fruit, everything that you would want to, endless mimosas. And I perform down there, and it's wonderful. I give them one Friday a month. That's why the third Friday I'm black at Backwall Hitch in the evenings. But those are the gigs I do. And I have, of course, a lot of spot gigs where I get called, can you play here? Can you play there? Can you play in this sort of thing around Baltimore? Look me up on Facebook under Rodney Kelley, or you can go on YouTube and type in Rodney Kelley Jazz Experience. That's Kelley. And there's a plethora of videos there. So if you need entertainment, whether it is a soloist, a duo, on up to a full band, I can provide that for you. And one little thing, I am not one of today's rap music, so I don't do that. I am not of the band that's going to come that looks like they just got off of a damn construction site. When I come there, we look good, and everybody that's with me that looks good, and I'm never late. So we tend to play the music of our generation on up through the 90s, some through the 2000s that would touch everyone, but good, clean music that everyone can enjoy.
Sounds wonderful, folks. And I've seen it before too, many times, and it's great. It's well worth seeing. And I tell you what, folks, anybody booking gigs out there, Rodney is every bit the professional he says he is. And
thank you.
I got to say, Rodney, it's been an honor to have you back. I'm glad that you were here to be on our 250th episode of Fowl Players Radio, kicking off 9. And folks, you've just heard where you can see Rodney and hear him and everything. Please check him out. It's well worth it. Makes for a great evening. So we will see you all next time. Rodney, thank you again.
Thank you, and God bless.
And we will see you next time on Fowl Players Radio. Thanks, and take care.